What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today we are going over a brand new release that just dropped at the 2026 ATA show. This is the Flo X thumb button by B3 Archery. Now, B3 is known for making some super high quality releases. The price point on this release is coming in right about 300 bucks. So it is what I would consider some of their higher end releases. They do offer more budget friendly, but if you're looking for a higher end thumb button that you can use for not only target archery and then also hunting, then this is definitely going to be a good option that you guys want to check out. So in this video, we'll kind of break down this release. We'll talk about what's new, we'll talk about specs, features, and then lastly, I'll give you guys my overall thoughts and opinions on this. Now, first, let's kind of start with available color options. So as you can see, this release is going to be available in this OD green color. It seems to be a pretty popular color over the last couple of years. I start to see more and more companies offer this. I'm personally a big fan of it because I do like that earth tone. I feel like it kind of helps reduce some of the shine if you are planning on hunting with this. Keep in mind, it does have a Cerakote finish, so it is a little bit more durable when compared to like anodized aluminum as far as like the coating goes, so it's just going to be less likely to get scratched up. And then also they're offering this in a tungsten color, which in my opinion is kind of like a gunmetal gray, which does look pretty sweet, but I'm a big fan of the green one. Now, as far as finger configurations, what's nice about this release is you can actually shoot this as a 3-finger, but if you wanted to run it as a 4-finger, you don't have to buy any additional attachments. They actually have this 3rd finger right here on the side. If you want to run it as a 4th or a 4-finger release, you just basically loosen that and kind of open that up and kind of set that in position, and that'll allow you to have a spot for your 4th finger if you like to be able to put your pinky on there and kind of help kind of pull through your shot. So definitely a pretty sweet feature. And then also a really unique feature, which to my knowledge, this is the first time that B3 has kind of rolled this out, but they are giving you the ability to kind of play around with what I'll call that 3rd finger divider and be able to get that into a position that feels best for you as you're pulling through your shot and as you're at full draw. So if you have, if you're someone that has like meatier hands or fatter fingers, then you'll be able to kind of adjust that so you're not getting any hot spots or any pinching as you're, like I said, drawing your bow or kind of settling in to execute your shot. So definitely a new feature, pretty unique. One thing I do want to point out is if you are planning on hunting this with this release does not have a lanyard loop. Now, over the years, I've ran releases that don't have them. It's not a huge deal for me, but I do know a lot of people that do prefer that. That was just one thing I was kind of surprised by because I think this is kind of marketed more towards a higher end hunting release. Now, another thing that I want to point out is the release does have some texturing inside the finger bed, so that's going to help obviously if you're using this release in the summer months, you're shooting 3D, your hands are getting wet, slippery, or if you're wearing gloves, like I said, it'll kind of help the release bite a little bit better in your fingers because of the texturing. I personally always like to add a little bit of skateboard tape in all of my releases just to avoid any type of slippage. Definitely, like I said, in the summer months when you're shooting in warmer conditions. Now, another point that I want to kind of bring up is this release does have, or I should say the hook and the internals are 440C stainless steel. It's going to prevent this release kind of getting beat up over time as you're exposing it to some of the elements. And then one thing that I always look for when shopping for new thumb button releases, specifically for hunting, is a D-loop containment hook. This release does have it, which is very beneficial because obviously you can hook this on your D-loop and it's just going to be there in the heat of the moment. You don't have to worry about this thing falling off or keeping it in your pocket and then hooking it on your D-loop when you need to go make a shot. Now, as far as like the adjustment goes, we kind of already talked about the turning it from a 3-finger to a 4-finger, but as far as like the release itself, it is going to give you the ability to adjust the trigger tension and then also the trigger travel. So for anyone that likes a lot of travel on their release, to be able to really kind of settle in on it without prematurely activating the release, you'll be able to set it up that way. Then obviously you can adjust how much force or how much poundage is required in order to actually activate the release. Now, for me personally, I always prefer to have my releases set at 0 travel. That way I know once I get on that thumb peg, I just know it's just, you know, a set amount of pressure required in order for the release to actually shoot or for the shot to break. That's how I prefer to set mine up. So I like that they're giving you the ability to kind of dictate whether you want travel in that release or not. Now, as far as the cocking lever, it is right here on the bottom. Now, one thing that I will say is I was a little surprised at how stiff that is. Like if I compare that over to my Carter Wise Choice or my Carter 2 Simple, the Carter 2 Simple is pretty easy. I got a UV thumb button over here. You know, thumb button 2, again, pretty easy. Thumb buttons, or the cocking levers, I'll say, are located in just a convenient location. You know, there's a lot to push on that makes it very easy to kind of cock this. You can see that this release does not have a lot of material hanging off the bottom, and you do kind of have to firmly press on that to be able to cock that. You also need to make sure that the cocking or the D-loop hook is in the closed position. There is not a magnet on this, so it's not automatically returning. And then as you can kind of hear as I'm activating this, it is a little bit louder of a release. My 2 Simple is kind of loud too, but not nearly as loud. Here's the UV button 2. I mean, this thing is extremely quiet. I mean, almost no noise compared to this. I mean, drastically different in sound. So that is one thing to point out. But I've shot releases that are on the louder side for hunting releases, and I've never had an issue with them spooking animals. That's one thing that people are always concerned about. Now, when you're leaving the field though, you know, with my 2 Simple, I can always kind of put my hand on the back of it and then just prevent that spring from popping like that. Just keep that in mind when you are considering it. I do think it is a nice release, but like I said, I mean, you might have to play around with it. If you put your hand behind that cocking lever and then activate the release, you know, it does kind of tone it down a little bit. So that's just one thing that you'll have to be kind of aware of if you are planning on hunting with this release. Now, another really nice feature about the B3 is that it does have adjustability on the thumb peg. So again, they're trying to suit a variety of people and a variety of hand sizes. So I always like when releases give this as a standard option because it really allows you to kind of dial that in for your hands and make sure that you're getting the thumb peg in the proper spots where you're not having to kind of close your hand or make a fist in order to access that thumb peg. That is one thing that I don't really like about my 2 Simple, is that it lacks a lot of adjustability. I just recently added one of the buttons off of the Gen 1 UV button, or the thumb peg off the Gen 1 UV button, to kind of make that a little bit more comfortable for me to kind of get my thumb around. But just constantly tinkering with stuff. But like I said, it is nice that they are offering that. Now, one of the nicest things about this release, in my opinion, is you now have another release on the market that is offering a very, very short neck. Like if I compare this over to my 2 Simple, which is kind of like my go-to release, which is, you know, in my opinion, probably I'd say the shortest neck release that is currently available. This one is not too far off, maybe like a 1/4 inch off of where my 2 Simple is. So again, if you are someone who has a shorter draw length and you're looking to gain a little bit of draw length, then this could be a good option that you want to check out. I used to run a 27-inch draw length when I was shooting the Carter Wise Choice, and then when I shifted over to the 2 Simple, I was able to gain a 1/2 inch back on my draw length while still maintaining a very comfortable and accurate anchor point, and that's why I continue to shoot this release. Now, keep in mind, when going with a shorter neck release, a lot of people say that they're a little less forgiving. I have not experienced any issues. The one thing that I will say is, if you are new to shooting a handheld release, is you need to be very aware of how your hand is positioned as you're sighting in, right? Like if your hand position changes, or you cant your hand shot over shot, or if that changes shot over shot, you will start to see some left to right misses. So that will definitely help with like consistency of your left and right, is just making sure that that's very repeatable. But like I said, it's nice to see that you have another short neck release that is now available on the market that you can pick from. Overall thoughts and opinions, I think it's a nice release. I like what B3 does for their releases, and I think they offer excellent options. Keep in mind, this is currently available at Sunrise Archery, located out in Fenton, Michigan. So if you guys want to check this thing out, shoot it, see if it's going to be the right release for you in 2026, head up to Sunrise, located out in Fenton, and check them out. But that's going to be it for this video. Any other questions, you know what to do. Drop me a comment below. Reach out to me directly on Instagram. I'm always happy to help. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you guys on the next one.